What's up, Envoys? Today I have a Protea Prime build for you. I want to preface ahead of time, though, that we do not use any helmet abilities. This is a Temporal Anchor build. So, if you don't like Temporal Anchor, I apologize. I think it's a great ability. I know it gets a bad rep, or people just hate it in general. But if you give it a chance, I promise you, you'll probably like it. As for the Archon shards, like normal, we're using 1 casting speed, 1 parkour velocity. These are optional. I believe parkour velocity is good, though, because it helps you reposition faster, or just in general, get through the mission faster. Casting speed is just, in general, very good on the Warframes. 3 Tau Forged Red with ability duration just gives us more duration, so our turrets last longer, and our Temporal Anchor lasts longer. Moving on to the build itself, if you haven't noticed already, we are at negative strength. We do this because our passive will give us 100% ability strength on the 4th power cast. With this build and growing power, you will be consistently at 109%, I believe it is. With the passive, you're at 200%, and with Molt Augmented, you're at 260%. Abilities that aren't the 4th ability will have 160 once Molt Augmented gets maxed out. Do note, however, your casting ability so much with this build that it doesn't really matter. You can make any ability you want the 4th ability, and you'll benefit from this greatly. The Exilus slot is Prime Sure-Footed. This is just here for comfortability. If you do not like Prime Sure-Footed, you could put Power Drift here to get over the 100%, and then you'll even have more strength on this build. Or Cunning Drift, whatever you feel like putting. It is truthfully up to you. I just feel Prime Sure-Footed is good here, merely to protect you while you're in your 4. Prime Continuity for ability duration, overextended for ability range. Equilibrium, because our dispensary gives health and energy orbs, and basically we double dip. So we get energy from energy orbs and we get energy from health orbs. It's really nice to have. Archon Vitality for status effects that deal heat damage are applied twice. We do this because Blaze Artillery does fire damage. Umbral Intensify for strength, and Prime Flow for more energy. Now, moving on to the 2 augment mods, we use Temporal Artillery. For those who don't know what this does, whenever you have Temporal Anchor active, an existing turret will attach to you and you will carry it around with you until the end of Temporal Anchor. Granted, the max combo count is 20 times, but that's still a lot of damage, even at 20 times. This is just really good for just mobility, because you have a really good turret shooting at someone the entire time. On top of that, we are using Temporal Erosion. While Temporal Anchor is active, Grenade Fan and Blaze Artillery strips 10% armor from enemies. This is just even more insane because now not only are you carrying a turret around, you're also stripping their armor with it, which is amazing. Arcane Steadfast is here. Now, some would say you could put Energize here. However, mathematically wise, I don't know why that came off the tongue wrong. This comes out on top. A 20% chance that the next 3 abilities will not cost energy is amazing, because it always procs when you need it, and you need it all the time, which is just amazing. And then Molt Augmented, like I mentioned before, for the extra ability strength. Moving on to the weapon, we are using the Tenet Glaxion, merely for the fact of Proton Overcharge. Slain enemies have a 2% chance to drop a energy orb per cold status affecting them. This will just produce so much energy for you if, for whatever reason, Steadfast isn't doing what it's supposed to. Other than that, primary Frostbite and just your normal beam weapon build. If you don't have a Riven for this, Shred, Bane mod. Some people are even doing Acuity. I haven't tested it myself, but I heard a few good things about it. So it's up to you what you want to put into this flex slot. Moving on to the secondary, you can put whatever you want here. I'm using the Tenet Plinx because I wanted another Tenet weapon for her secondary. And the fact that it can pull in enemies with its alternate fire. Other than that, this is a heat viral Cascadia flare build. Nothing really interesting here. I don't even have a Riven for it. And even with that, it still does a lot of damage, as you'll see here in a bit. For the melee, we are using her Okina Prime with the Incarnon, because it also does cold damage while in its Incarnon form. We also use Synergistic Seretti, so plus 6 status damage for 10 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. This procs a lot, because we're at 100% crit chance. Plus 1 range, you could always go standoff if you feel like you're constantly sheathing them back and you want to keep going. It's entirely up to you. I think the range is a lot better. And then for the final one, increase base status chance by 12% and plus 25% status duration. It's just really nice to have that because we're already at 100% crit chance. We don't need any more, and we want to spread status because of melee influence. This is your melee influence build. Sorry if you kind of hate those builds, but I think they are just fun and hilarious to see. If you don't have a Riven, you can put Fury, Reach, about Bane mod, preferably, whatever you feel like doing. Other than that, just your basic melee influence build with crit damage. Moving on to the companion, we are using a Hound. Probably not the best choice or the meta choice. I think it's cool to use a Hound with Protea because it just matches the aesthetic. With the build itself, we are using your run-of-the-mill Animal Instinct, Guardian, Vacuum, Calculated Redirection, Momentous Bond to keep it up because this thing will die on occasion, so getting it up faster is really good. Reflex Denial to help with damage, and just Pulse Magnetic, which is good against Overguard. Speaking of Overguard, we also have Null Audit, which steals aura and abilities of Eximus units while stripping Overguard, which is amazing. And then Synergize Proboscis, just still more electricity damage. Can't go wrong with that. The melee weapon, nothing really interesting here. We're just doing magnetic heat viral radiation. Just stack this thing with so much status effects, it's not even funny. Then with conditioned overload, it just does a lot of damage. That is the build. We will do a simulacrum test so you guys can see it all in action. Grab me some energy. First off, the Glaxion. As you can see here, it takes a few seconds, but once it starts building up, these guys will start dying. Do note that this is merely meant to produce energy, as you can see on the ground, and it still does a decent amount of damage. To show off the Tenet Plinx for you guys, I'm going to do the alternate fire first. And as you can see, very good. And I believe that was the Hound killing them, so. Moving on to the Okinas. Takes a bit to build up, like most combo weapons. But once you get it going, it just destroys, and we killed them even before we got the Incarnon form. Now moving on to the abilities, we're going to do the turrets here, because they're your main damage source, and as you can see, they will absolutely destroy. To show it off with Temporal Anchor, and they're dead. And if I can get to it in time, I can explode on them and destroy a majority of them at least. Yeah, I destroyed a pretty decent amount. If I built up more damage, it probably would have killed them. But alright, that is the build for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. After this, there will be a Steel Path run, as always, so you can see it in a mission. But I will see you guys next time. Bye!